Hello, hello, welcome to this live. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I was speaking whilst muted. Apologies for that. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be delving into a crucial topic. It's about navigating complications during pregnancy. Pregnancy is it's an incredible journey. It's filled with joy, it's filled with anticipation and sometimes unexpected challenges. While, many of us focus on, the excitement of welcoming a new life, it's also important that we are informed about, the potential complications that can come up. And so in today's discussion, just have a think about, whether you or someone has experienced any complications during pregnancy and what were some of the concerns that you or the person, thought about. And when you've been through the journey, have you got any advice to impart on anybody here listening live? I'm with Gurjit Minhas from Joyous Childbirth, and she's going to shed light on this topic with us. So, as we're going through this discussion, our goal is to help you basically with the knowledge of dealing with common complications. And Gurgis is going to offer her expert insight and tips for proactive care when it comes to dealing with pregnancy during complications. Gurgit, how are you today?
Doing really good, Jasmine, and so excited to share and learn from, everyone if there are any issues, that they know about or they are worried about and they would like to discuss them.
Yes, yeah, fantastic. So to kick off the discussion, Gurjit, what are some of the common complications that, first time moms experience during pregnancy?
So, if you look at it, there are two types of complications that may occur during pregnancy. One is something that already exists with the mom's health even before she got pregnant. And the other is things that happen, complications that may arise that are related to the pregnancy itself, like it's related to being pregnant. So if we look at the ones that are already there, um, before she was expecting her baby, some of those could be like she could have high blood pressure, she could have any other health issue or mental health issue, like physical and mental health issues could be there before she, became pregnant. She could have some sort of deficiency. So any sort of medical condition could have existed before she got pregnant. So that's having set that aside, because that is something that sometimes you can take care of, right? You can make sure that that condition is controlled. Even things like being overweight, if you want to control that, a good time is to control that before you are expecting your baby, because once you're expecting your baby is not the time to go on a diet, right? So certain things, if your blood pressure is high, you can go on a medication to make sure that it's well controlled. And same with any other issue that that she may have, liver conditions, heart conditions, kidney conditions. We can look at stabilizing her health before she expects her baby. And even with immunization, it's always a good idea to make sure that your immune system is up to the mark. You've got your immunizations, because during pregnancy we do not recommend certain immunizations like the measles, mumps, and rubella. We always want the woman to have it 3 months prior to getting pregnant, because in case she realizes that she is not immune to rubella, then she can do nothing about it, right? And that can affect the baby. So it's a complication you rather avoid. So that's for the immunization part of it. Now, if you look at the complications that arise during pregnancy that are related to the pregnancy, you can have things like gestational hypertension, which is the blood pressure all of a sudden starts rising, generally after 20 weeks, right? That's gestational hypertension. Another one is gestational diabetes. And gestational diabetes, usually around 24 weeks, the doctors make it a point to check the blood sugar of all the women just to make sure that their blood sugars are in the normal range and that they're not, out of the normal, because that can definitely have repercussions both on the mom and the baby. So to make sure that, her blood sugars are stable, they want to check and then do whatever is required. Generally, they might start her on a, diet that might help to maintain her blood sugars, and that way she can safeguard her own health as well as the health of the baby. Then there are certain other conditions like liver conditions, kidney conditions that could arise and that could be related to the pregnancy. So these are some of the conditions and that can cause complications. But there are some other things that are totally like not something that you can look at or try to control or maintain. It's something that arises all of a sudden. And these could be complications like all of a sudden there's bleeding. And there are, of course, reasons for this sudden bleeding that happens. And at times the water may break. That's another complication. At time at times, the uterine contractions might start way before we expect them to start. So normal labors is anywhere between 37 and 42 weeks. But if the contractions start earlier, then that's a complication again, right? It could affect the baby, it could affect the mom. And so I've just given you, like, in a nutshell, overview of some of the complications that may arise and
Thank
affect.
you very much. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Gurjit, for that. Thank you for joining us, Platin Mwenya. We hope that you're finding the discussions interesting so far. Fajana Nazrin, thank you for joining us as well. If you've got any thoughts or you'd like to share any perspective, feel free to do so. John Musunda, watching from Zambia. Thank you for joining us, John. And Selassie Amenu. Thank you for joining us from Ghana. Good day to you too. I hope you're doing well. Today we're talking about complications that arise during pregnancy, and it's an interesting topic because just like I was saying before, you go in there with happy thoughts and you don't really think much about what could arise, the challenges that you could face as a pregnant woman, especially a pregnant woman for the first time as well. So Gurjit Minhas is here to shed light on how to handle it and how to navigate the complications and challenges that you may come across as a pregnant first time mom. So Gurjit, you spoke about some of the complications that could arise, and you touched slightly on what kind of healthy habits we could incorporate. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I could. Definitely. It's a good, the topic to talk about, but I will talk about that. But some of the conditions I like to mention are not related to anything. The woman may be doing everything right, and still she may end up with, for example, bleeding. It might suddenly happen, or the water might break, or even blood pressure, can suddenly start shooting up. So having said that, of course, there are things that, the woman can do to safeguard her health in terms of the diet she takes. And I would strongly recommend, people who are smoking and drinking, if they could, at least for the period of the pregnancy, give up, or, make it absolutely minimal. And, people who really care about their babies, even though it's very, very hard, to give up a habit like smoking or, drinking alcohol, still, if you consider that, this could have complications and potential problems for the newborn, for your baby, then it might be a motivator, at least for the duration of pregnancy, to not consume those unhealthy drinks and food, right? So, having said that, let's talk about the actual diet. That there's no hard and fast rule for that, except that it should be, as far as possible, there's no calorie restriction that I'm going to be talking about, but that'll happen automatically, in the sense that if your plate is colorful, like if you have a lot of color on your plate, for example, like red bell peppers, you know, brown rice, green, maybe spinach. I'm just giving examples of how you can make your plate colorful. That would really help to work wonders, because that way, not only you, but the little baby also gets all the vitamins, minerals, and the nourishment that is needed. So that's one strong point about making your plate as colorful as you can. Another tip is drink water as far as possible, of course, clean water, and avoid, these juices got from the stores, because these juices are technically full of sugar, and is going to make you more prone to gestational diabetic. It's not going to help you in any way. So avoid all these sugary, ready-made drinks from the market. And also, if you can, try to minimize your coffee and tea intake. And of course, if you, it's beyond the scope of this conversation here, but if you can, Google and look at, there are certain foods that are totally, herbs and foods that are totally, not good during pregnancy. So if you can Google that, then you can get the list of foods that are, not advised not to be taken during pregnancy, because this they could cause miscarriage, or they could cause abnormalities in the newborn. So definitely you want to avoid those foods and focus on the ones that you do like. Now, initially for the first 3 months, Jasmine, so many women, they are struggling with nausea. Not every woman, because some people have no nausea at all. That's really good. But then there are others who are so nauseous that they cannot even retain anything. And that's not a good thing, because we recommend, at least during the first 3 months, not to take any drugs or, things that might affect the growth of the baby. So for these women, it's a real challenge, when they are so nauseous and vomiting. Then it's recommended they seek medical help, at least, to suppress that. Help is available, and those are basically, it's B vitamin and an antihistamine, which works in combination, and it helps the woman to feel less nauseous, and so she can start eating food, which is so important. And some women worry because of the first 3 months, they're not gaining any weight. They're saying, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a baby, but I'm not gaining any weight. They should not worry about that, because the total weight gain, if you look at the average total weight gain, it's only 2 kg. In the first 3 months, it's only 2 kg. And so, and the other thing is, even, just to set your mind at peace, even if you are not eating so well because of nausea or whatever reason you're unable to keep food down, the baby will grab the nutrition from your body, which means you might start feeling weak, and uh, uh, it's going to affect you, but baby is technically grabbing as much as it can from your system.
Oh, that's interesting. I know with me, for example, you spoke about nausea, Gurjit, and that's one of the things that I suffered with when I was pregnant. Anything that was fairly spicy, had like, curry smell or any kind of spice, I just felt like, um, basically vomiting. But yeah, so I tried to stay away from all of that. And it took a while, actually, even after I'd given birth. I think it took about a year or two before that subsided. So in terms of pregnancy complications and prenatal checkups, what should first time moms expect during the visits that they attend?
Okay, if it's the first time, definitely you want to get to know your doctor or midwife, whoever you have chosen to be your care provider. You want to see, if their thoughts are aligned with you and you feel comfortable with them checking. That's from your part, right? From the doctor's point of view, they want to make sure that you're healthy. So they might run lab tests on you to make sure your hemoglobin is in place, and that you don't have any sort of condition that is going to weaken you. And they might, generally they just do the blood check. Of course they will do your weight, they'll do your urine testing, and they will specifically focus on your blood pressure. And after doing these tests, they might ask you how you're feeling, and based on what you tell them, they will, take further action. So initially, these are the things that they want to make sure that they know about you, so that they can say yes. And also, they want to know the high risk factors, which means your previous medical history, and whether you had any surgery in the past. So there's quite a few questions they'll be asking you, just to make sure that they know how your health is, and if they need to do something about it at that stage. And they might also, it's different for different places. They might, in the first initial visit, they might ask for an ultrasound. So we generally have two ultrasounds, one at the beginning of pregnancy and one towards the later stages of pregnancy, just to get an idea about how the little one is doing.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for explaining that, Gadget. Going to these checkups and not knowing what to do, especially if you're a first-time mom, what advice would you give to, our family members and our partners who are, helping us through the process? What would you say, they should do that will make the pregnancy more comfortable or more peaceful for us?
Yes, thank you for asking. That's such an important question. Now, the one thing that the partner, the husband, the baby's dad can do is to accompany her for the doctor's visits. Of course, there are people who are, with certain jobs and they just can't make it. That is a different story. But as far as possible, accompanying the mom to the doctors for the visit, accompanying the mom for her checkups, lab tests is really, really helpful, because it makes her feel so comfortable or loved or cared for. And it is those feelings that she is transferring to the baby, right? It is at its initial stage. Another important thing is, even if the partner has, things that are not so good, if he can make a conscious effort to keep the mom happy, that really goes a long way. Because I just mentioned a minute ago that the mom's emotions are transferred to the baby. And so helping the mom to stay happy and relaxed is super, super important. And, making sure that her needs are met and that she's comfortable and relaxed is the strongest and the best way the partner or the family can help the mom.
Yeah, that's sound advice. That's great advice. Thank you very much for that, Gurjit. In terms of, pregnancy and, natural birth, do you have any, insights to share about the latest recent, advancement in the industry and what first-time moms should be aware of?
Yes, thank you for asking. First of all, I'll share something that really alarmed me and upset me, but still, it's some of the, like you mentioned, a latest development that I'm seeing around me. And it's happening more and more in many parts of the world. And what's that? That is that women, earlier we encouraged them to go for natural childbirth. People would wait, people would say it's okay, let's try. Now, I recently found that the women are given a choice whether they want to have a natural birth or a C-section, which to me is, quite upsetting at times, because it's the first time mom, everything's going well, she's healthy, and just because she decides she wants a C-section, the doctors are saying yes. And that is something that is not backed by, any, I can't say any research or any need. And all it's doing is there are more and more women having to undergo C-section, which is major surgery, and the rate of C-section is climbing by the day. And so any efforts that people are making to promote natural childbirth is sort of going by the wayside when women have the right to choose how they want to, birth their baby. Yes, in extreme cases where there are genuine conditions, it is totally legit and totally acceptable. But in cases where it's just like, oh, so and so had a C-section, you know what? It's the easy way. Let me also ask my doctor and let me also go for a C-section. That's what's happening. That's the latest that I'm noticing. And that's one thing, that's the not so good one. And the good one is that women are, on the other side, there are women who are becoming more and more aware of the benefits of natural childbirth, and they are determined not to have a c-section. They prepare their mind, they prepare their body, they do whatever it takes, and they will, they've almost like, it's written in stone in their minds, and they transmit it to the nurses as soon as they get there, that please, I really want to have a normal childbirth, so please help me with that. And so the nurses also, they look at the woman and they say, oh, okay, she really wants a natural childbirth, let's help her. So then there are so many natural strategies, warm showers, pillows, whatever, they just encourage the woman and they help her with natural childbirth. So there are two things that I'm witnessing, and one good and one bad. So I've just related both of them.
Thank you so much, Gurjit, for that. If you are currently a first-time mom and you are experiencing anxiety or any mental health issues, feel free to reach out to Gurjit Minhas. Her calendar details are scrolling across the screen right now. So Gurjit is a natural childbirth specialist, and she's got 30 plus years in the industry as a nurse. So reach out to her and she'll be more than happy to support you and take you through the journey and help you to build a strong mindset that will prepare you for your pregnancy. Um, Back to the questions, Gurjit, what resources are out there that will help or support, you know, us or first time mothers who are looking for more information on pregnancy complications? What would you say to them? Where should they look to?
See, it's common knowledge, Jasmine, that there are so many books out there. You just have to go to, go on Google and search for whatever topic you're interested in, and tons of information comes up. But the only problem is that sometimes when you're searching for information, you might come across conflicting information, right? So that's where the issue might arise. Otherwise, there's plenty of knowledge and information out there. Fit, how to make your mind totally relaxed, how to give your baby the best environment possible, how to prepare the dad for what he needs to do at the time, when the baby is about to come. What is the dad's role? How can he support his wife or his partner? Those are the things. If they are covered in the prenatal class, then that's the class you need to join. But if it's just simply giving out information, then those prenatal classes I personally do not recommend, because information is available everywhere. And also look at the person who's conducting the class. Like, who is the person? Does she or he have experience? Do they know what they're talking about? What sort of experience do they have? And is that going to help you?
Yes, thank you so much for that, Gurjit. So, do you mind sharing a personal story and or an example that first-time moms can relate to when it comes to the topic in hand?
Yes, I can definitely share that. And it was one of the nurses on the unit, and we actually worked together. But she was a young nurse, and it was the first time she was going to have her baby. And she went to the doctors, and it like she did have certain issues, which weren't all that, like, they weren't complications, but they were little issues that she could handle, right? But the doctors, when she went to them, they said, no, no way, we think you should have a natural birth. We think you should go for a C-section. And she panicked because she really didn't want a C-section. So she came to me, and she was one of my past students, because I do teach at the college at the university, and I had taught her in her nursing program. So she trusted me a lot. So she came to me and said, Gurjeet, this is what the doctor says, and I really don't want to have a C-section. What should I do? So then I helped her after I learned, what was going on, what happened to her, what the doctor said. And I said, you can totally do it. I gave her the strategies. I formulated a plan for her. And I said, do this every day. And it was a lot of, not a lot of, it was a combination of physical as well as mental exercises that I gave her. And believe it or not, when the time came, she did have a natural birth. She was so happy. She said, she literally hugged me and said, you saved my life. Because she was like, I don't want a C-section. But there was nobody around who would, support her and tell her, okay, what should you do? That help wasn't available. And when she got it from me, she easily had a natural childbirth. And, of course, she benefited, and her little baby also benefited, because both of them didn't get any drugs. And the process happened so smoothly. So that's one of the stories I'll never forget. There's so many stories, but I think sharing one is.
Yeah, yeah, that's great, fantastic. It's always good when you've been able to make a difference. I think in the position you're in, the lives that you impact, it's amazing. I admire anybody in the healthcare industry, doing great work, because you're dealing with human lives and human health. So yeah, thank you so much for the services that you've provided over the course of your career. So, Gurjit, I know you have a prenatal preparation program. Do you want to talk us through, what it is, and how people can essentially reach out to you to come on that program?
Yes. So one of the things that I didn't get to was the reason why many women, have to go for a C-section is complications that occur not during pregnancy, but at the time of birth. So when the baby is about to come out, like in the process of coming out, it's not yet out, that's the time certain complications can happen. For example, the baby's position may be a little bit awkward, which makes it difficult for baby to come out. And this can happen because many women, they request epidurals, which is for pain relief, obviously, but that sometimes positions the baby incorrectly in the final stages. And this incorrectly positioned baby, we call it asynclitic baby. The head is just a little bit to the side because it settles where it is and makes it hard for the baby to come out. And that's one of the complications. There are a couple of others, and these can all be prevented if you can reprogram your mind in a way to expect everything to go naturally and to expect to have a safe and joyous childbirth. So, coming back to what I teach, the basis of the program is to get you to be totally relaxed, because once you're relaxed, the body, it just flows, birth just flows naturally and effortlessly, right? So your mind has to be uh, it's like a term fearless. So how do you get to be fearless? That's the whole process, right? Any fear that you have to the simplest way is write it on a piece of paper. Because if you're just saying, yeah, I have a lot of fears, but then you're not doing anything about it. So first of all, the first step is to write down the fears that you have, and then work on them. Get them out of your system one by one. And so you'll find, yeah, I was worried about all these things, but now they don't seem to bother me, right? I'm feeling so much more relaxed and I feel confident now. I feel like, yes, I can have a natural childbirth. It's not a distant dream, it's a reality for you. So that is the basis of the program that I teach: mental preparation, relaxation, and mind reprogramming. Then there's physical preparation. Mind is good, but your body has to be fit, right? If your body is not fit and at the last minute you're like, I'm too weak, I don't have the energy, oh, the uterus is not contracting, the uterus isn't nourished enough during pregnancy to be well toned and functioning properly. That's again another problem. So definitely about nutrition, the exercises you can do to tone your body or the birthing muscles, they're well toned, well prepared, and everything flows well. So the physical preparation is huge. Then followed up with, it's not just the birth that we are worried about, Jasmine. We are worried about the condition of the baby. There's so much you can do in terms of programming your baby, because the things that you can do during pregnancy are going to give your baby a strong start in life. There's no point saying, oh, why is my baby like this, why is my baby like that. There's so much you could do during pregnancy to program your baby the way you want it to be. So all that information is vital, because the baby is the main person, right? The whole experience, the whole pregnancy, birth is all because of baby. So we cannot neglect the baby. So things around how to give the baby the best environment in all ways, we cover that. Then the dads don't know. Most of the dads are professionals, right? They've got some profession or the other. Either they are bankers, accountants, you know, farm workers, whatever their profession is, they are good with their profession, but they don't know how to help their wives during childbirth. And so, talking them through, teaching them, sharing with them how they could support their wives at the time of birth is super important. So dads also, they say, yeah, yeah, now we know how we can help our wives when she's in pain, or when the labor starts, or during the process and after. What are we supposed to do? Now they know that. And then finally, labor is a new event or a new situation for the mom, right? She has never, we are talking about the first time mom. She has never experienced this with her body before. And so knowing what to expect, when labor starts, when to go to the hospital, what to expect at the hospital, how to get the best experience. And I say hospital because that's commonly around here, but there could be birthing centers, people could be birthing at home. But the labor process, once they're familiar with that and they know what to expect and what they should be doing to get the best experience, then that puts them at peace. And then, knowledge is power in a sense. So they know what to do and everything flows according to their expectations. And then finally, after they've had their baby, how to navigate the time period after birth is huge, because it looks like, oh, there's no problems, but there are so many minor and little major issues that may happen after the baby's birth. So knowing how to handle them effectively is very, very important. So, and another struggle, you may think breastfeeding is natural, but I cannot tell you the number of women who struggle with breastfeeding. So, you know, um, having some expectations or some knowledge about how to successfully breastfeed is very, very important, because preparing for that, if can actually starts during pregnancy. So you prepare for it during pregnancy, you have good results when the baby is born, and life is so much easier for you. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what we go through and what we ensure that the women is comfortable with.
Oh, thank you so much. You are right, absolutely right. Knowledge is power. When you have the knowledge, you'll be able to, apply what you need to apply in order to achieve the outcome that you want. So if you need that knowledge, Gurjit is here to assist you with it. Her Calendly link is scrolling across the screen. It's calendly.com/joyous childbirth. And it's so important to be physically fit for your pregnancy and also mentally fit, because giving birth is not easy. It takes a lot out of you as a woman. So putting yourself in the best position to encounter this experience is so important. I see that John Musonda has got a few questions for you, Gurjit. So I'm just going to ask those questions one by one, and then you can give him the feedback. So the first question John is asking is, can the mental state of the mother influence the complications in childbirth?
Yes, I'll take one question at a time. Thank you so much, first of all, John, for asking that question. And the mental state is key. Mental state is super important. And sometimes I'll just give you one example. There was like this is one person, but I see this all the time. The woman comes in, and then once the pain kicks in or labor starts and it's getting intense, she just says, oh, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. It's not going to happen for me. Don't have what it takes to have a natural birth. I'm just too weak. I can see that it's not going to happen for me. Why don't you take me for a C-section? Her mind, her mental state is she's so anxious, it's unstable, she's scared, she's just all she's focused on is a C-section. And guess what? Complications arise, and sooner or later, off she goes. So the mental state, I can't tell you how important that is. And when you're relaxed, then things go so easily.
Thank you for that, Gurjit. Yeah, definitely. How our mind is functioning at the time will definitely determine how, we deliver, isn't it, really? Thank you for that,
And
for
the
that.
next question, yeah, is preparation key to avoiding complications in
Yeah.
childbirth? Yes, to a certain extent, because when you prepare yourself in a way, I can't say 100% because nothing is 100%, right? Anything what I've noticed is some things maybe 100%, but in this case, I won't say 100%. I can say maybe 90% of the time when you're prepared, things go exactly as you want them to, complications don't arise, and it's a beautiful experience for everyone. But sometimes, last minute things may happen. For example, it's things that have already been happening during pregnancy. Maybe they were not detected. Maybe at the last minute, the woman requests an epidural. And so, because of that, there are so many complications that, follow, which nobody actually talks about, but they are the reality. So that's why I'm excluding that, because people who just don't do the natural birth, they go for drugs and etc. There's a high chance of things going wrong and complications happening. So that's the caveat. That's the one thing that comes in the way. So yeah, that's the answer. And what are the causes of complications? I think I touched on them right now. Some of the causes, like the positioning of the baby's heart rate going up or going down, the mom developing a fever, and the contractions slowing down, and the process being longer than usual, and the baby not descending, not coming down. So these are some of the complications that may happen. And finally, there's one that's an emergency. It's not very common, but sometimes the cord can come in front of the baby's head, and that can cause a huge issue, because once the cord comes before the baby's head and gets pressed between the two bones, which is baby's head and mom's pelvis, then the blood supply is getting cut off. And so that's the time we just rush the woman to for a C-section, because we want to save the baby, right? We don't want the baby sitting there getting the oxygen cut off. So that's one of the complications which can occur at the last minute. And is genetics a cause for complications in childbirth? It could be if the baby is abnormally formed, but generally that's not a cause for complications in childbirth, but it is a problem for the baby, right? If those genetic abnormalities are detected in time, doctors like to give the woman an option to, have an abortion or to carry the baby to term, right? If there are genetic abnormalities. But it's not a cause for complications in childbirth, because genetics, I'm assuming this is genetics for the baby, right? For the baby. So that affects the baby, not the mom. So is there any further clarification required? If you're talking of genetic issues with the mom, then I don't think, unless there's a physical cause, like there's a fibroid, like there's a huge mass in the uterus, or the uterus is misshaped, that can cause complications. But genetics in the mom, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you so much for the clarification to John's questions. Have you got anything that you'd like to leave us with before we end the live, Gurjit?
Yeah, I think John already pointed it out that preparation is key. So, yes, there you go. Preparation is key. I love that. And that's what I believe in. Because if, like, think of it, if you're organizing a wedding or a big function, and you just can't go and say, okay, we'll see what happens and we'll go. And we hope it happens well. We hope everything goes well. It doesn't happen that way. You make 101 preparations, right? You arrange for the photographer, you pay for the flowers, you pay for the food, you make sure this is there, the tables. You look at 100 things. Why is it different for childbirth? Why do people think that no preparation is required, right? Because the reason being, why do I say that? It's because our lifestyle is so different from what it was, say, 100 years ago. We no longer do the physical work, most of us. There are people who are still doing the physical work and they get different results, right? So but for most of us who are working in the city environment, at office jobs, it's a sedentary lifestyle, and the foods that we eat, they all contribute to our physical health. So preparing and combating with the stresses of daily life is very, very important. And so the least we can do is look after our own physical and mental health, and that should be the preparation that I talk about.
Yes, definitely. Preparation is key. Thank you all for joining us on this live, and we hope that you've derived a lot of value from this conversation. Thank you, Selassie Amenu, for joining us. Thank you, John Musonda, for your wonderful contributions and your, questions. It's helped to make the live very engaging. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fajana, for joining us, and Platine, thank you for joining us as well. We appreciate your presence, and anybody who's listening in, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next time. Take care of yourselves, and yeah, all the best to you. Gurjit, could you say bye to our audience before we go?
Yes, thank you, Jasmine, and thank you, everyone who's listening.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.